Our lovely viewers, you are welcome to our podcast. As usual, we all usually talk about education, technology, and today I'm happy to have our guest today as Bert Geysels,
Mm-hmm.
and is the founder of the Oasis.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are going to discuss a lot about education, agriculture. So I'll like my guest to introduce himself.
Okay. Thank you, Samuel. Welcome in our garden. So my name is Bert Geysels. I'm engineer of education, and so my education is engineering, bioengineering. But I'm interested in a lot of things. So I'm also working as a volunteer in the fire department in the town here. Um, and I'm also a teacher, coach outside school for students of the secondary school, most and also in the higher education. And I work also as a school teacher in the primary school, so in the fifth and the sixth class. And why I and my daughter started the Oasis organization, it's because we see a lot of things moving, changing in our society of today. Um, a lot of uh, things that were sure, certain things are no longer so steady. So we have to understand what is changing. And when we see interesting directions, new directions for solutions, for example, in agriculture, education, financial system, democracy, things like that, then it's important, I think, that we can advance very quickly in these directions in the form of projects. So we want to give a platform to develop uh, projects in these new directions where we go with society.
So, what really inspired you in the beginning to join this?
What inspired me is before you can really act, you have to understand. But if you really want to understand, you have to do things. So it's an interaction between understanding and doing things. Um, and so I said, okay, let's start. Let's start with the garden, a picking garden, on a really classical field. So not so much variety. It was all the same. The soil structure was demolished, and so we said, okay, we will observe nature. So we let it 1 year spontaneously, and we learned about the place, where are the different dynamisms in the place. Um, because of the vegetation was different, so we can learn from observation. And then the year after it's now 6 years ago, we start to plant trees and vegetables and fruits, and it was really yeah, it was a discovery. It was not so simple.
Yeah.
First, we had some very hot and dry years, and we have no water on the field. So we had to find solutions for it, to cover the soil. And then we had some really very wet, exceptionally wet seasons. And then it was another kind of problems and things to solve. And so now we understand that we have to think always very broad.
Yeah,
You cannot say there is a climate change, so it will be warmer and drier, because one year it's cool and very humid. So you have to be prepared and be flexible to all kinds of circumstances. And that's an interesting point to start, even if in all those other things that we are developing, like let's say financial systems, or how can we organize democracy.
yeah,
We do things like that in the classroom, for example, and making our rules together. And you always have to be flexible and have a lot of possibilities to find the solution that works for that group, for that environment, for that moment.
true,
Yeah.
true, true. Yeah, so if someone asked you about the evolution of education, how would you understand the term evolving in education?
Well, when I look to the education when I was a little boy, I remember that in the third class of the primary school, so I was 8, 9 years old, we had to learn a new language, French. And I didn't understand any word of French. And so it was really, I was stressed because the teacher was speaking only French. So yeah, it was not a safe environment for me. So
Yeah,
I was not in a learning mindset. I was in a stressed mindset. And I remember a situation where the teacher say, okay, we will learn now a song for Santa Claus in French. And he started to say, okay, Saint-Nicolas, patron des écoliers, apportez-moi du sucre dans mon petit panier. So he say, okay, do you understand it? He asked me in French, do you understand this? What does it mean? Sucre, sugar, sucre.
yeah,
And I understand it, but I cannot explain in French that I understand this. So I say I do like this because it was not permitted to speak
speak,
Dutch.
yeah,
And then he started to give everyone a little sugar to show this is sugar. But this was really not good for me, because I say, okay, I want to express something, but I I have to do it in a language that I don't understand. So
understand.
I was really blocked in my learning process, in the interaction with the teacher, and so I was scared of him, because there was no secure environment. So what I learned, and what I think is changing now, but we a lot of teachers miss the tools to do it. That's that we have to create first really a safe and a nice, I would say, a nice environment. When I am teaching the children, or when I'm interacting with the youngsters in the secondary school, we first start, how do you feel now? How was the weekend? What's your plan for today? Did you have a good night? Did you slept well? Things like that.
You try to relate with their
Yeah,
daily life.
you talk about, you are a person, I'm a person, and we are talking about the things we do in day. When you eat something, and you say, and did you enjoy the meal? Was it a good meal? And then we are at the same level. So we are both humans, and then we can say, okay, there is a difference in role. I'm an educator, so I have a responsibility for you. And you are a pupil, so you have, I will try to give you an environment where you can learn. But how do I know if this is a good environment for you? I can do tests, I can do checks, but I can ask it. When you go in an interaction with the pupils as a human, not as the teacher who knows everything. I don't know anything. I have to ask all the things. Okay, is it good? Can we concentrate now? No, I cannot concentrate because I'm thirsty. Yeah, then you have to drink. Okay, just drink. Okay, and then we can concentrate because now we will really study on something, we need concentration, and then 5 minutes later, it's clear we have discussed something. Okay, action. Now we will do things. Make groups, look for your purpose, ask me if you need something. That's very important. Ask me if you need something, and then I can help with the things I know. If I don't know, we can search on the internet together, or we can go outside to measure things, or we can ask it to the director. I don't know. I don't know. We it's open. It's open.
They
And
get involved in their learning process.
yeah, so in fact we are developing things together, and it's my responsibility to be aware of all the learning possibilities that are in it, and it's their
Responsibility as well.
responsibility to really go into this learning process. But it works very good. And also, for example, for math, we started with a lot of pupils that say, "Oh no, math, it's not for me. It's difficult. I don't understand. What can I do with it?" And now at the end, it was really they they make a competition of it. I want to continue my exercises.
They're
I
now
want to be the
motivated.
first. Yeah, I want to have a test 10 points. So they really decided to give themselves a high level and to compare
Yeah,
with the others
there's also competition
as
between
a
them.
kind of competition. Yeah. And I think it's very good because it was their decision. It was not my decision. And for me, it's important to say, okay, we studied all the things we have to study. But if you want to go fast, well, you can go fast. If you want to discuss together, yeah, the test, of course, it's it's alone, but it's a good mirror to see. Okay, what's my position now? And so we had, for example, one pupil that was ready with the math in January for the whole year in the fifth class. So I say, okay, let's let's see if it is the same in the other classes courses, and it was the case. So we decided with him and his parents, okay, you can now go to the sixth class, and you can do the sixth class in a half year. And now he's going to the secondary school. Why not? He was really prepared. He was enjoying this. So now he's ready to go to to the
The
next
next year.
phase in his life. Huh?
That's,
So,
that's
and when you say,
interesting.
okay, you have to do it the old way. Huh? I'm saying something, you say yes or no, and you are learning that at this moment. Yeah, we will not have these cases. Huh?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So what is the biggest shift you have observed in the education system, like from the past decade?
Yeah, the biggest shift,
Yeah,
I don't know if it is a shift in the system,
yeah.
because I see there is a lot of desire to change things, but does everyone know what we want to change and how we will change it and what will be the end of this change? I don't know if we are already at that point, but in for me, the biggest change is that learning is not something that you do now between 10 and 11 o'clock. We will learn math. No, learning it's a state of mind. How how do you enjoy life? One very important part of that is learning, I think. Uh, it's really spontaneously. a little baby will learn things not by saying, okay, I have to learn things, but by doing it. And that's what I try to bring to the pupils. Okay, learning when you are, for example, how do you say it? Between two lessons, you have a little
Break.
break. Yeah. During the break, I have to be there to see if the the pupils are not fighting or doing bad things. But it's always really calm and nice. And then they come to me and they ask things. Ah, Mr. Bert, and you talked about that and the sun and I don't know what. And then they ask, and then we are we are learning. At that moment, I'm learning them a lot of things. I'm explaining or asking questions to that they can do a reflection. So learning, it's something natural, and you have really to give it that space that that we at school and outside school, that is a normal thing. It's not something that we have to do. It's something that we do, that we want to do because it gives sense to our life. When we stop learning, we stop living.
True, true. How do you feel the how do you feel technology is reshaping the teaching or the learning?
Hmm. That's a very good question for me because, as you see, I'm an outside boy and I use nature.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm really triggered to find solutions and techniques without technology. But at the other hand, I like very much the technology um, to really understand reality, because we have a lot of nice tools, um, like you showed us the sensor, for example. You can measure things and it helps us to really understand reality because we get some results and we say, oh, that's a bit strange. This result was not what we attended. um, and then you can reflect on it and understand more how reality is working. So I think it's very useful in the learning process. When I am operating in the picking garden, I don't use any technology because I want to work with the natural processes. Every technology is demanding energy, materials. It can fail, so it's a risk for me in my in operating in outside. But to understand the reality, to go in the learning process, I my opinion is that technology is really very useful. So I know that it will be forbidden next school year, the smartphone in the classroom, but I need often a smartphone to show things, to learn from it, to translate things. For example, we have a lot of uh, pupils that are not Dutch speaking, so yeah, let's use it. Yeah, it's really a good tool. For me, it's not the goal, but it's a tool to reach our goal, and that's learn.
if you had the powers to change some things in education, what could those things be with the current education system?
Yeah, um, I would uh, make an obligation. That's dangerous. An obligation in learning processes, but an obligation to teachers to 1 day a week that they go to school, a teacher school, to learn their learning process, to understand how do I learn, what can I learn to make progress. You cannot give a good teaching environment if you are not often be part of a good teaching environment for you as human to learn. So I think that's very important. And if I can say a second one, when it's a time like today, don't stay inside. You have to go outside because outside there is reality. We can learn about the sun and what the sun is doing and about UV things and light. But go outside and start measuring all these things. And that's very important. I do it with my students. We go outside, we measure, and then we talk about um, an angle of 90 degrees and how we can use the stelling of Pythagoras and all things like that. It's outside that we are learning that. And then inside, when the weather is not so good, then we go inside and then we can develop it and we can calculate things, but go outside. That's really important, I think.
Yeah. Are there some skills you think every student or every kid should have according to what your predictions could be for the future?
Um, yes, a very important skill is you have to be able to take responsibility about your own behavior, also your learning behavior. So that's very important. That's what I do for math. So I say, okay, you have a book, you can start. And if you have questions, you come to me. So it's you that come to me. I will not come to you. Yeah? So that's taking responsibility. Okay, I have a problem. I don't find a solution. Not my neighbor, not my brain. Okay, I go to Mr. Bert and I ask it. So that's taking responsibility is really very important. And the second thing, there are a lot of things, but the second really very important thing for me is that you understand how your personal learning process is working, because we all have different kinds, or some materials works better when I do first, and or maybe observing, or maybe first some explanation and then doing. So how does your personal learning process works, that you know it, and you have to know this when you have the age of the children that are playing here now. It's 10 years old, then it has to be clear for me what your personal learning process is.
Yeah, true. Are there some challenges you have faced today in the education system, you as an educator?
Yes, a lot. And a very important challenge is that I have to explain to youngsters, so 15, 16 years old. They are very closed. They are looking for their identity, and they often are in a conflict with the teacher, and because the teacher is not making contact, the teacher is teaching. I will say what you have to learn, and it's like that. No discussion. And then they come to me because they don't understand, and they in a lot of time they ask extra information to understand, and they ask it to the teacher at school, but the teacher answered, I can only explain it the way I did. So they say, okay, but I don't still don't understand it. And when I explain it in other ways, so we can do an experiment, we can look to a film, we can try with some questions to find the solutions without looking to other information. Then they say, okay, that's very nice, but when you explain it or when you help me, I understand it, but at school it does not work. And then we are really looking what's the process at school and why does it don't work, this project for you. um, and that's a very difficult thing, because then I have to ask to uh, a boy or a girl of 16 years old to be wiser, to be more comprehensive about the learning process than the teacher that they have at school. That's a bit the the world in the other side. Normally, you have the teacher is an example of learning, an example, an inspiring person, a motivator. But in that case, you have to say, okay, your teacher is not that teacher, but it's still important to take all the information, all the learning you can take from these lessons. You have to take them. It's not because you are a bit fighting with the teacher that the things you can learn are not interesting. But that's very difficult for a youngster to do, and it's a bit uncomfortable for me to say about colleagues, okay, maybe it's not the environment that you need, but try to, yeah, to be more adult than we are often as teacher. Yeah, so that's a confrontation for me. Yeah.
Are there some things you wish the policymakers in the in the education sector you wish they knew about in their learning process?
Um, yeah, nowadays there is really a lot of discussion and everyone has meaning about all kinds of things, also the politicians. um, I think they're the same. One day a week you have to sit in a classroom, be part of the group, not observing, be part of the group. And I think politicians will make totally different decisions because now we are discussing about we have to go to the education process like it was in the past, but the past it's over. So we have now and the future. In the past we had a lot of things to solve, but nowadays they are totally different. The context is different. So we really have to change the way we look to education. And the politicians, they are welcome in the classroom, in my classroom, no problem. But we have to make contact with the youngsters of today, with the children of today, and we have not say, okay, I will listen to you. No, we have to interact like humans. And then everyone has his responsibility. The politicians have to make the big decisions. Okay, that's their responsibility. Me as a teacher, I have my responsibility to create a learning environment, and the pupils have their responsibility to go into the learning process. So I think that would be a model that can help us to go to a really good education future.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about interdisciplinary or investigative learning?
Interdisciplinary is my nature. So I'm a bioengineer. That means that I had all the physics, chemistry, but also biology, geo sciences, economy. We had really an overview of all the uh, disciplines, scientific disciplines we have, even psychology and enterprise tools. So the reality presents itself interdisciplinary, and we as human always try to analyze that complexity and make little boxes of it. So okay, now we will observing an apple falling from a tree. But let's say that there is no air around, because then we have friction and it makes it too complex. We will only observe the apple falling. But that's not reality. So when you will understand and do things in reality and be comfortable in the reality, you have to think and act interdisciplinary. And it's so amazing to sit around the table with persons who are totally different from their educational level, their kind of education. So all kinds of disciplines, scientific, of other, with artists, and then you see that the solutions you find are more connected to the reality. It's there's a you have real solutions that you find. Otherwise, you have a solution maybe in a laboratory, but maybe not on the field. eh? So, and when you're working in a picking garden, you are working interdisciplinary because you have clients, you have to talk to clients, you have to understand what are their needs. You have children that are playing, so you are an educator. You have to work with your hands in the soil. You have to understand the soil. The soil, it's all kinds of things. It's water, it's physics, it's chemistry, it's biology. You have the structure of the soil, geo science. So you have the weather, you have the climate, you have hot things, you have UV impact on the leaves. Like yesterday, some leaves were burned, so we have to reflect. Okay, what techniques can we find to give a solution to that problem? So when you really want to do something in reality, and especially in the reality of today, where you have a society context that is very complex with a lot of tension and problems, then you have to think to interdisciplinary, and not only in the let's say the science like physics and biology and chemistry, but also the other science like psychology, sociology, and all kinds of science we have. Yeah, and let's take this to the classroom. Uh, in the classroom, the learning environment has to be the reality of today. uh. Otherwise, we will learn very interesting things, but then you got the question, why do I have to learn this? What can I do with this? I don't receive these questions because it's always clear. Uh, why do we learn it? We start from a problem in the reality. For example, we have a new place in school where they can play, and the director say to be okay, we can plant 2 trees. Which tree will we choose? Because you're a bioengineer, it's your specialty, all the things about trees. And I say, okay, let's look with the pupils, let's ask to the school, because you have trees that are technically very good, but yeah, what is a beautiful tree? When I say it's beautiful for me, maybe it's not beautiful for you. So we have to ask it to everyone, and then we make a project of it. And so it was clear from the beginning that we will plant 2 trees, and we have to find those 2 trees that will be the best for the school. So no one is asking me, why do I have to look on the internet for all kinds of trees? No, it's clear. We have to find the best trees that we can plant at our school. So I think that's yeah, the the connection to reality, and the goal is to do things in reality, to prepare young people to act in reality. Then we have to think interdisciplinary. Absolutely.
That's nice. It's very interesting. Yeah, so before we conclude with our discussion,
Mm-hmm.
I would like you to share about your agriculture
Mm-hmm.
because I've seen a lot of plants around.
Yeah.
Maybe you can share something with our lovely viewers.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. I think if you want, we can go to the place where the children who comes after school on Wednesday here in this place to do activities about science and but always outside. They did the process from a seed to a plant. So we started first to make a greenhouse. So they had to change the roof. It was very technically and also a bit dangerous. So we had really to be careful and to have a good discussion before starting. When we had the greenhouse, we started sowing, and then they got tomato plants, and now we can see the first tomato who is become uh, how do you say it? It's from green to red now.
Ready.
Yeah. So we have one red tomato.
It's ready.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Okay. Shall we go to the tomato?
Yeah.
Or,
We can go.
so here it was a garage like there, and now they changed the roof, so it's transparent, and so that's the greenhouse. Huh?
Yeah.
And then we can go. And so here that are the tomatoes of the three boys. So they have two plants, and every two plants are different variety, so we can compare the varieties. And so you see that one variety is round tomatoes. These are a bit longer, and it start earlier. And so this is the first red tomato of Thibaut. Thibaut is the name of the the boy who and so every week when they come, the first thing that they have to do is to look if everything is good. So they have to help the tomato plant like this, and then check if there are no little things like that. So and then okay, so that's also important that that's taking also responsibility about their plant and to really observe, and then they have a lot of questions. What is this? So yeah, we have, for example, this year we have a lot of, I don't know the name in English, but bladluizen, it's a kind of insect that will uh, uh, prick inside. Yeah. And so we don't use any chemicals. But then I explained and I showed you have other insects that eat these insects. And when you find them, you can take them and bring them here. And then you observe how
the
they...
insect destroys the plant.
One insect destroys the plant, and the other insect destroys the insect that is destroying the plant. So that's, in fact, in a nutshell, what ecology means,
yeah.
and what is the signification of biodiversity. If we don't have the helping insects, yeah, that will be a big problem. When then we have only the insects that will destroy the vegetables. So instead of giving a whole explanation, we find these questions here, we explain them on the field, but it's very useful after it to say, okay, when the weather is not good, we are inside, and then we can make conclusions. and we can see the bigger pictures, and we can look for other examples of these interactions. And but then you have children that want to learn something, and they are listening. When I have this situation in the classroom, it's quiet. They are all looking, and then a new question.
They're eager to learn.
Yeah, and otherwise it's you have to be quiet because I'm explaining something and you're not listening, and you're frustrated, and you do a test and you see that they don't understand it.
So the kids are very curious.
Yeah, you have first they make contact with reality, then they have a lot of questions, and they are thinking about things, and you say, okay, maybe it's like that, but then you see, oh no, it's not working, okay, another explanation, and it's like a conquest. They have to find the good answers, and so that's very interesting because then you have really focus. We often I get the remarks from the colleagues, teachers, that the youngsters of today, they cannot focus anymore. And yes, it's true because they have the smartphone, and it's all every 15 seconds it's another film. So that's a problem. But when they are in a zone of I want to know it, then they are really hyper focused. So I have not that problem in the classroom. When they are really involved in the learning process and they want to know, then you have the break, the signal of the break, and they don't listen to it. They want to know first, and then they will go to the break. So and that's, I think, in this environment in the picking garden, yeah, it's really an easy environment to create things like that.
That's very interesting.
So every school a picking garden.
It's very interesting. What could be your last words or advice to all educators out there? Your advice to all educators out there watching?
To all educators watching, I would say make contact with colleagues, interdisciplinary, and make a network. Don't think that you have all the solutions. It's not necessary, but it's good to be in contact, to be inspired, to look for learning environments where you can grow personally, and then you will be a more relaxed and a more effective teacher in your classroom.
Thank you very much for your time.
Please.